right, welcome back. This is going to be part 115 of my presentation on the flood, Noah's Ark. And guys, we're going to get back on target here with the mid-oceanic ridge and the mountain ranges. If you'll notice on the screen here, I've showed you this several videos ago. We went over this, how the fountains of the Great Deep, most of the water that came and flooded this planet came from this mid-oceanic ridge. That's the crack. That's the fountains of the Great Deep that bursted open. And most of the water that flooded the planet came from this right here. And how you can see how the major mountain ranges that we have runs parallel with this mid-oceanic ridge. And I showed you, and there's a number. Yeah, I got them numbered there. If you want to pause the video and take a look at that, you can. Or just go back about 3 or 4 videos, and I talk about this. And then you got the Himalayas right here. If you notice to the far right, I got 2 lines there, squiggly lines. And you'll notice the mid-oceanic ridge, I got it lined. I got it traced with that red line, and then I got an arrow pointing to the Himalayas and how that land slid away. I'll show you a little clip from Walt Brown's video of his interview where he talks about the hydroplate theory, how the mountain ranges were formed by sliding away from this mid-oceanic ridge, meeting resistance and then buckling, and that buckled. And that's how you get these mountain ranges. When you look at them, it looks like they kind of just like an accordion. You could see at one point in time they were wet, but they kind of just folded. They folded, and how you're not going to get that by the ground being dry. It's going to bust, crack, and stuff like that. Well, these mountain ranges were folded. They were folded. They buckled, and you got that. You can clearly indicate that yes, at one point in time, this was wet, and this land had slid away, met resistance, and then it just started buckling. And so now we're going to continue on with that thought. And what we did is we looked at the Himalayas, and we stopped for a little while to talk about the Yeti / Bigfoot. We talked about Bigfoot. And so now we're going to continue on with this, and we're going to talk about Mount Everest there. You see Mount Everest there on the screen. And let's go through some notes on Mount Everest. Named after Sir George Everest in 1865, Surveyor General of India. Before that, Mount Everest was known as Peak 15. Peak 15. 29,035 feet, over 5 miles high, is considered the highest mountain in the world, even though some scientists debate the issue. People of the area have given the names Forehead in the Sky and Goddess Mother of the World. Goddess Mother of the World. Secular and creation scientists both agree that the Himalayas were once at the bottom of the ocean or bottom of the sea and were created by powerful earth movements. One believes this happened over 30 to 50 million years. Now, there's your evolution there. And the other at or around the time of the flood, 4,400 years ago. There's your biblical worldview. Measures indicate that the Himalayas are still rising. Mount Everest in 1999 was found to be 6 feet higher. It appears that Mount Everest is rising a few millimeters each year due to geological forces. Get that. Marine fossils have been found at the tops of the mountains. And so, showing that at one point in time, these mountain ranges were once below the water. They were below the water, and that they have raised to the heights that they are now. And that's how you get the waters being contained, and so it doesn't flood the planet again. All right, going on. Scientists of the 19th century were dismayed to find that as high as they climbed, the rocks of the massifs yielded skeletons of marine animals, fish that swim in the ocean, and shells of mollusks. This was evidence that the Himalayas had risen from beneath the sea. The great massifs of the Himalayas rose to its present height in the age of modern, actually historical man. The highest mountains in the world are also the youngest. With their topmost peaks, the mountains have shattered the entire scheme of the geology of the long, long ago. And this right here, guys, actually came from Immanuel Velikovsky's book, Earth in Upheaval. Earth in Upheaval. And so he doesn't claim to even be a believer of the Bible or anything like that. But isn't that interesting? Now, let's go to the Andes Mountain in Peru. The Andes Mountain in Peru. It's the longest continental mountain range in the world, 4,300 miles long. Average height of 13,000 to 22,841 feet. Reported fossils of giant oysters have been found at 13,000 feet above sea levels. And so if you notice that map there, that's where I've got. I'll show you kind of where they found it and where they found fossil whales also. Now, I'm going to show you what these are here that they found as far as these supposed oysters, and I'm going to give you another interpretation, what I've been told that they actually are. Now, this right here is at the Andes Mountain. Paleontologists Arturo Vildozola, right, that's him laying on the this big rock here, rest on a giant fossilized oyster in the Acostambo, Peru. That's a rough one. Where more than 500 fossilized giant oysters were found. Now, if you can see them there, guys, and you just by first looking at them, I tell you what, it does look like a big old oyster. And so, but I'm going to give you another interpretation, which it possibly could be. Some measures up to 12 feet across and weigh 650 pounds. Some claim that there actually are concretions. And what that is it's a compact mass of sedimentary rock formed by the precipitation of mineral cement within the spaces between the sediment grains. And so what that, I'm going to show you what I have. This is a fossilized clam that I got from Dr. Carl Ball's museum out there in Glen Rose, Texas. They sent me a number of these things. I sent them an email and asked them if I could get some. And they've got them. Guys, there's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of these in that area. And he had one of his volunteers, was a young boy, dig me up some of these things. And then sent me a letter with the cost of them. And then I sent him a check for doing this for me. But you can see right here, this is the back. This is the back of this. But this is a fossil clam that died, and there's the back of it there where the shell comes together, and then this is the front of it here. And you can see the shape of that. And so, and I've got, like I said, a number of these. This is one of the better ones. But they died in the closed position. They died immediately. And these things are all turned upside down where they were. I mean, they're not just all like this. They're upside down where they were ripped up where they were at and actually tumbled. And so some of them just died in place. And so, but yeah, that's what this right here is. And so As far as what this is here, it's a debate. It's a debate on there. Some say it's concretion, and some say that no, they're fossil oysters. And so I'll leave that up to your guys' discernment. What you think? I tend to think by looking at the pictures. I'm going to show you on the screen here. I tend to think by looking at the pictures there that it very well could be concretions. Is what I'm thinking here. And so, though the guy that's laying on that one on his back, if you look at the front of it, boy, I tell you what, the way that the waves of the front there, it sure does look like a big old oyster. But again, guys, from people that I trust, I've asked them about this, and they told me that it is concretions. It is a concretion. So we'll just take it at that. And so, for what it's worth, until there's more information that I can get on this, this is the only information that I have at the present time. And so, if anybody knows of anything different, let me know, and I'll correct my information. But again, the mountains were covered 15 cubits upward. Did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered, and the mountains were covered. And so it's, that is the formation of the mountains, where we got our mountains today. And so the mountains before the flood, I tend to believe, and again, this is just my opinion, that based upon from what I've read and from other writers and stuff, researchers, that the mountains were not as high as what we have today. And so, again, remember that the world that then was perished. It perished. And so, but to have the mountains, that we see today, you can clearly see that at one point in time, they were sea level, and that they're moving, and they still are moving to this day. They still are moving to this day. And so by measurements that they take. But the waters, it says in Genesis 7:24 that the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. So God only did what he needed to do to this planet for 5 months to do what, as far as the waters doing their thing. And then after that, they started subsiding and sloshing around. And then God was raising up the land masses to contain the waters. And the scripture gives us indication of God doing this. In Psalms 104:19, bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who covers thyself, with light as with a garment, who stretcheth out the heavens like a curtain, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind, who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire. A flaming fire. Going on. Who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever. Thou coveredst it with the deep, as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains. Here we go. At thy rebuke they fled. At the voice of thy thunder they hasted away. They go up by the mountains, they go down by the valleys, unto the place which thou hast founded for them. Thou hast set a bound that they may not pass over, that they turn not again to cover the earth. Job 26:10. He hath compassed the waters with bounds, so they can't go past these bounds, until the day and night come to an end. So this would give another indication that, God said that he would never flood the planet again. And so this is his promise. We may have localized flooding, but nothing where it would destroy the world again. Jeremiah 5:22. Fear ye not me, saith the Lord? Will ye not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for the bound of the sea by a perpetual decree, that it cannot pass it? and thou, the waves thereof, toss themselves. And yet can they not prevail? Though they roar, yet can they not pass over it? And so again, God is saying that he is containing the waters. He is preventing the waters from flooding the planet all over again. But we'll stop right there. And guys, we are coming to the end of this whole presentation. We are going to talk about the arks resting in the next one, the next video. And then we're going to start getting into where is the Ark of Noah? Where is the Ark of Noah? That's going to be the last part of this presentation. And so, but at any rate, we'll check you guys out next time. I hope you guys have been learning some really cool stuff. But I hope the Lord blesses you real good. I love you. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.